Hey everyone, I'm going to do a DIY on installing the TRD Pro Grill. This should work for all models, I'm told. So we're going to see how everything goes. You can see all the wrappers from the unpackaging. So we're going to see how hard this is to do it myself. And I'm going to show you guys, as I've never done this before. So we're going to go through this together. And you got to take the whole bumper off. This is OEM. So I think Rave Off-Road sells a replica as well that's maybe a little bit cheaper. And there's people on eBay and stuff that sell this stuff too. This is not a sponsored video. Hopefully I can get some type of 5% off discount for you guys. I did pay full price for everything I have here. So it looks like they do sell both the TRD Pro grill as well as the Trail Hunter. I guess the Trail Hunter, I think it's a gold coloring, and you got silver for the Pro. You can also get, I think, Rave Off-Road if you want. If you order from them, you can get them custom painted as well to match your color of your vehicle. I just kept mine the same. This is the top one. And we got bottom, and you got the light bar here. You have an option to purchase light bars with it. They have their own light bars that you can install on here. They got dual light bars. I went with a single one, which is right here. So I forgot how much it costs, but I'll list it here as I look it up. So you got the light bar here. You also got a bracket that you'll need for part of the installation. And let's see, you got some of the other tools. You got wiring harness for the light bar. You also come with, I guess it's close to OEM, but you get a button install that you can put into one of your auxiliary switches or whatever's open on there. So this plugs right into the wire harness for the light bar. So you'll be able to click this. I'm not sure. I've heard from TRD Pro owners that you'll have to turn on your high beam lights to turn on the light bar, but we'll see if that's the case here. Then you also got a wiring harness for the camera relocation. So you'll have to purchase this separate from the actual kit, but they do sell it because the wiring harness is too short on the off-roads and other models that are not TRD Pros or Trail Hunters. They are, as mentioned, they're too short, so you're going to have to get something to extend it out, or if you modify your own wire if you want. And then as part of the little kit, I already took out the button for the grill light. But this is just some tools they provided with it. I think it's like a star bit that you can take it off because you'll have to switch the camera mounts from the stock OEM mount to the Pro mount. And I guess you can print these off. This is 3D printed, so if you have one, you can, this is the Rave version, but you can probably print your own out too. Or you can just purchase theirs, but this is included with the kit, so that's pretty cool. Let's see what else. You always got to have an energy drink as part of the DIY. Get me motivated. We'll see how much I use hand tools versus manual hand tools, I guess I should say. So apparently you'll need 10 millimeter socket. We're going to try that out. I'm not sure if deep or short will work better. I got a flathead screwdriver. And I also got a plastic little fastener, like uninstalled tool. And then I also got my screwdriver, which you can use a manual one too. We'll see if I use that. I'm just trying to go as fast as possible. Well, do it safely without breaking anything. And we'll see how long this actually takes because people have complained that it looks like it takes forever. We'll see how long it takes. So I'm doing this on Super Bowl day. I'm a huge Seahawks fan, so we'll see if I can get this done for the wife's vehicle. And we'll start getting that bumper taken off now. All right, before we get started, I just want to show you the before picture. So obviously you can see, let's see if I can put my finger out. You see the camera is lower on here. It'll be up here on the TRD Pro grill. So that extended wire harness is gonna help move that up. And we're gonna get started here and show you that after we're all done. All right, before we get started, again, I'm gonna disconnect the negative battery for before doing any electricals on the vehicle. On the gas models, you'll have the battery in the front. Hybrids, it's going to be in the rear driver's side cargo. You'll have to take off this little plastic door piece, and this is something else. It's not a broken piece, but you take this off, and then we're just gonna disconnect it. See if I got my, we got her done. Let me put this here. I'm gonna block it off. There we go. All right, let's get started taking off some pieces. By the way, I did put on these hood holders on here from Redline instead of using the manual one, even though I'm still keeping it there. So I got a video on that if you want to check it out. Anyways, we got to take off this the damn piece. So it's just some plastic. You push them in, little push pins. Got one here. We'll kind of do one over here for the intake area. Let's see where else. Again, I haven't done this before, so we're doing it together. Let's see, we got some front pieces. I already clicked that one. There's one. There's one. There's one. All right, I got the ones in the middle. So what is there? 2, 4, 6, 8 on this front. Kind of air dam piece. We got 1, 2, 3 for the intake. We'll take this piece off. It looks like it overlaps. Of course, everything is flinging everywhere. Let's see which ones have dropped. Kind of take these out. All right, it's 30. Been doing a lot of off-roading, and there it is. Oh, no problem. So we took this first piece off. I'm gonna set it aside, and we're gonna move this piece as well, which is only 3 pieces. The intake. There we go. All right, so let's move this camera over here. So you see that intake. Safe to put some cloth or towels in there to block it off from anything falling in. All right, so that's that piece. Let's move on. So pretty dirty in here, but we got to take out these fenders. So you got a 10mm here if it wants to focus. You got one down here, so you got 1, 2, and you got a plastic clip, another plastic clip which you can use your removal tool, and 10mm. Then you got one under here as well, and you only need to go about halfway to 3/4 back, and then we're gonna pull this off the pop, which is an exploser screw that's in here. So let's see. Get that screw off. There's 2. I hate those plastic clips, but I got them off. Sorry I couldn't show you guys, but that's what they look like. Let's see if I got it good. Stupid little things. I'm sure if you do break them, you can get them off eBay or Amazon, or they're cheap at Toyota. So I'm gonna grab here, grab behind here, and kind of give it a good little tug. Yeah, sounds bad, but it doesn't. It didn't break anything. You probably would have seen a plastic piece fly off, but Here's that bolt we wanted to expose, that screw. So we're just gonna unscrew this a bit. Alright, we got it. Alright, we're under a vehicle on the passenger side. So I'm not gonna be able to record this since I'm doing it on my own. And my camera doesn't go this slow. So we just need to take out these 10 millimeters. You shouldn't have to mess with these since they're part of the bumper, but this does attach to this liner. You got those. You might not have to do this like me since I got this TRD skid plate. But you got a 10 millimeter here. You got one over here. Then you also got one on that far side. Let's get it right here. Right here. So we're gonna take those off and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so we're gonna have 3 more bolts up here and then we're gonna have to disconnect some wiring. So let's see where those bolts are. Got a 10 here. You got a 10 here. And you got a 10 right here. So there's 3 of those, and then we're gonna be disconnecting the camera wire. And we're gonna be disconnecting these 2 plugs right here. So we're gonna disconnect these 2. There's 1, 2, there's 3. Then we're gonna get these plugs down here. See if I can get a good. So it looks like I'm not gonna be able to do this with the. Not the best angle, but I'm gonna have to try to get these clips out. Looks like one's a push on the right side. Trust me, I hate clips. Any type of plastic, I hate it. Let's see if this is a push or pull. I think it's going. That one on the right's gonna be a pull. Get it loose, but this would be a pain. I don't think there's any other clips. I don't like pulling on the wire either. That one's gonna be a pull, so we got that one out. So with here, you just have to pull this one out and try to grip it as you can and pull it. And the other one looks a little different. And this one might be These gotta be so small. Let's grab a screwdriver. Be careful, because I like to break plastic. So this, everything's gotta always be small. So it looks like this is a push in and pull. If I can get the right angle. Okay, that was pretty easy. That one's easy. Like I said, you got the extender harness. We'll see what that looks like when we install that. So on to the next step. Alright guys, I think we're gonna get ready to pull this off. After you take off the wire harness and all your bolts, do everything I showed you, we gotta pop these out. It's gonna sound like it's gonna break. Everything's like snap-ons. I'm gonna just grab right up here and pull it, and it just pops out like that. All the bottom should be disconnected. Let's do the other side. Pretty easy. See, we're not gonna cut that out. Yeah, that's why you gotta look at everything. Make sure you get your bolts. All right. A little bit of hassle to get my son out here to help me. So what I did was, in some of the installations I've seen, it looks like it was done on a non-hybrid. So I'm not sure if that matters. Maybe it's because I have the premium 4Runner, but this lights up and there's a wiring behind it. So it was hard for me. Here's the wire, by the way. So it was hard for me to get through the shutter on the other side right here and unplug it. So what I did, so that's what it looks like on the other side. So I had to get my son out here, and I lifted this front bumper up, flipped it up so he held it up, and I went underneath and unplugged this stupid thing. Obviously with the new Grille won't need it, but yeah, that was to light this up in case anyone knew that Toyota has some of the, I don't know if it's just premium or whatever, but these light up at night. Go, nice and dirty. Alright guys, so we got the top part facing towards me with the bumper. We got 10 millimeter bolts. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that hold the shutter in. So I'm gonna take these off real quick. And I already did unplug this wire harness that goes to this wire on the shutter here. so it can be disconnected. Alright, now we're gonna have to take off these shutter brackets. There's one on each side. Let's see if I can get a better shot of this. There you got 1, 2, 3 Phillips screws, so on each side, so that's what I'm gonna take off now. Alright, now we're gonna try to take off this side piece. Sorry if it's dirty. Again, you got Phillips 1, 2, 3, and then you got these plastic clips that I very much hate. And then we're gonna take this off. And we're off. We're gonna set this on the left side so you don't mix anything up. And we're gonna set all the pieces on this panel, the screws as well as those clips, so I don't lose any of them. All right, for this next piece, we're gonna start taking off this grill. So there's gonna be a lot of these stupid plastic clips that we're gonna have to take off. And I'm just gonna show you guys close up, and then I'll mount my camera just to show you how the clips are. So there's these weird looking clips, which you'll have to pull out of here when you're pushing out the grill that way. There's just like a little grip on here, little tooth that you gotta pull out. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, a little tooth on here. And you got clips that just kind of pull out like that. Then you just got to go all the way around. So we're going to see how that goes. Hey guys, been kind of working it. I'd be lying to you if I said it was easy, but maybe clips are easier to use. So I'm just slowly pushing this down. And as I'm forcing this kind of out gently, as I don't want to break anything, I'm pushing these clips, which it fell through here, clips, and then I'm kind of moving my hand like this alongside while I'm pushing the clip in with the other. And then I'm working my way around. So far I'm here, and just keep doing that all the way around. It should come off, hopefully. This side has that same lip. Better push down on this side. So now I got this whole bottom piece off. It'll work out. Put this aside, knowing that's a bunch of clips and these screws. All right, Super Bowl's coming up soon, and I am still doing this. Not gonna miss that. I know that. Wife will be mad at me if she can't drive her car tomorrow. All right, so we're gonna start on the clips for the grill now. So I got the other one for reference on here so I can see which ones need to come out. So maybe we'll start over here. We got, so it starts down here. Here's a clip over here. That's the same one as here. So we're gonna start if I can grab the grill and kind of hold that pressure down as I walk around. I can, again, first time doing this, slowly walking around. See, there's another screw that I missed. This one goes on the grill, not the, well, yeah, actually all that went on the grill. Come on, get off of there. All right, I'm gonna walk it around, start popping these down. All right, guys, we're back. Did some work. Look at this. Got it all. This was tough. I'm not gonna lie, but you could be a lot better than me with the whole clip. All right, looks like a mess, but we're getting somewhere. And remove this middle module. Surprised how tight these are. Remove this. Keep in mind that you will have to get the camera and stuff calibrated all over, since I think TRD has profiles, unless you don't mind the lines being misaligned. But I called Toyota. I think they'll charge an hour's worth of work. So I think it's like 170, which is ridiculous for calibration. I feel like it shouldn't take that long, but what do I know? And we're gonna unplug this. Of course, all these plugs gotta be. Maybe we'll keep it in for now, see if we need to unplug it. Don't forget. So the orientation, just so I remember, you got Toyota pointing up. It says Lexus, Toyota, make sure it's up, and then I know it's going down on here. We're gonna take off the camera bracket. Alright, so again, make sure Toyota's kind of upside down on here so I remember how to do the last one. Alright, we're gonna start taking this piece off. I'll probably speed the video up, but hey guys, I finally got a bunch of crap off. I got this other big piece off and I got this off. We'll be reusing this. So I'll be taking this off. And then the new one I kind of already have put in place. I just got to snap it down some more. And hopefully installing these are just the easier part because you're just snapping into place, right? So, okay, I'm going to switch over the camera. So here's the one that came off the TRD off-road. So Rave Off-Road gave this little star tool to get the old camera out. You got these small little star screws. So I'm going to take these out. Even these little ones are kind of tough. I'll take the other one again. You'll have to get a recalibration done by Toyota. My local Toyota here said it'll be about an hour. And they charge up to $170. So if it's less than an hour, I guess they'll hopefully not charge the whole hour. But I think you should get it done. So this one will not fit on the new bracket here, which I'll show you guys in a second. So we're gonna go here, and here's the Rave provided printout of the new camera mount. The camera, the stock camera, so there's only letters on one side, so you'll have this pointed down, so it'll be kind of like this. Rave logo, so just flip it. Then I think we're gonna have it go down like this, and then we'll screw it back together. So we got our grill over here. All right, so we're gonna flip it over, and there's the camera hole. And see if our Rave, I think it goes down, so we're gonna go like this. And it should fit right in those slots, just like that. There's the camera on the other side, and we're gonna screw it in. All right, we're gonna just screw these in with the existing screws. Not super tight. All right, so now it sits pretty flush. And let's start putting this bad boy back on. All right, we're gonna start putting this other grill. So here's the TRD Pro grill underneath. Like I said, we're gonna have to put these clips. So we'll lift this up a little bit and put the grill back on these clips. Yeah, it doesn't, hard to see when it's a little dirty, but we're gonna start lifting this up, setting them on, make sure everything's in place. All right, now we're back to showing the mess. So I'm gonna screw back in this module. Like I said, all the screws are the same. It should be. So I'm gonna put this light bar mount. I'm gonna be guesstimating on how it goes because I didn't see any videos or anything, and this is the lights I did get from them, their version. And I'll put the description of what I got. But they got lights that are even more pricier. I just want to get like kind of the basic one. And I'm gonna try to see how it mounts there. So these are adjustable, which is cool. So I did get this bag. I assume these went to it. Everything kind of came as a whole. So you got some Allen wrench nuts and some washers and lock nuts. So let's see, put this on one side. Oops, I meant to put the lock on first. If I'm doing that wrong, you can let me know. But gonna mount like this, but maybe this is better on the bottom. That's just what I'm thinking, but maybe not. So we're gonna go with it. I'm not gonna tighten it fully on the sides, just so I can make sure this is all good to go. So I'll go right on these pegs right here, I believe. It did give us 5 of these, so let's put them in. Let's see what it looks like. All right. Oh. Let's get this camera. All right, so we got the camera up there. We got the light bar down there, the Rave off-road light bar. Everything looks still a little gap, but maybe it's because I haven't finished screwing everything down, and I'll double check those side screws. All right, guys, we back. My team Seattle won the Super Bowl. And now I'm not gonna be able to put this on today, but let's try to finish at least putting this together. So tomorrow we're just flipping it on. However, the previous camera plug-in, it's attached to the other plug-in that goes right here. You can see that. And I need to feed it through here, but it's on this zip tie, so I'm gonna cut that off and refeed it if I can. We're just gonna feed this through both of them. So that's all in. Like I said, I didn't see any previous installations of the light bar, and the mount that I think Rave Off-Road had was a prototype at the time, and they started selling this, but it wasn't in their video, so I kind of had to guess how to put it together, and I think it is correct. And like I said, it has the 1, 2, and then 3 just Phillips screws over here. I think we tightened everything down. Let me double check. So we got the camera, the new camera harness. We're gonna see how we're gonna feed it. I think we're gonna follow the existing wire that comes up here around. We're just gonna zip tie it to the existing harness. clip this to get it ready. This is the light bar wire. And we're gonna need to figure out where all of this goes here in a minute. Long, but it's going to be long because it's going to have to reach all the way to the dash where you're going to have your button, because one of these is going to plug into your button or your auxiliary. So just have that ready. This should just plug right into here, just like so. So I'm curious if you're gonna have your high beams on for this to work. I wouldn't think so, since it's their light bar, and maybe it's gonna be wired differently than the Pro. I'll lean this off to the side. So we're gonna give some quick walk-arounds. Like I said, everything's kind of butt back in place. I still gotta do some other areas. Just kind of looking around to see what we got here. We still gotta put on the air dam. Got sensor stuff that still needs to be plugged in, so I'm gonna get ready to put those on. I did plug these back in, the parking sensors. I believe those are. Plug that side in. Like I said, after I button everything up, I'm gonna zip tie this new camera wire that goes up here to here. And I'll probably zip tie it right here too, so it's not like fully touching the back of that light. So that'll probably be perfect. And again, that's just the other end of it. All right, we're gonna start putting these side pieces on. So, all right, we're gonna put these shutter brackets back on. So here it is. It's held on by these three screws that I kept with it. So they go right over here. All right, so I actually had to unscrew that camera mount because the stupid plug clip is on the other side, which is inside, but that's okay. So we're gonna hook this back up. Just gonna line everything up how I think. There's dowels to kind of still align it, so that's cool. So that should be the way it went back on. You got your plug right here. Remember how this slid? It slid right into here. All right, so we got 6 of these bolts that go back in there. Put my hand tighten these first. So we get that new harness. Goes here. And actually, I won't even need to have it feed through here, to be honest. It's even better. I can just have this fed. I think that's pretty much it. Of course, we got to clean up all these new wires. I also don't know if there's a tutorial. I'm gonna have to find something and show you guys how to connect all this. Big bunch of mess. Yeah, we'll see how all this works out. Pretty sure there's something in the front since the battery on the hybrids are in the back. Alright, we got her back over here. We're gonna see how. I think this has to go flush. So we might. May have to unplug this. But we had to sort of bend it. Alright, let's show how the front looks. We'll show the before and after. You get the light bar. Looks very clean. I love it. Alright, I'll try to explain this as I'm not a professional when it comes to wiring, but I drew this out to show my setup with the light bar and the switch and relay and everything. So actually, here's the switch inside the vehicle. And it has 3 wires coming out of it, but mine actually has 5. But I'll explain this portion here in a minute. So you're gonna have your input here, which mine goes to the fuse tap. So on my switch, I guess it depends on who you're getting the switch from, what color that input wire is. So I guess you'll have to look that up. But the input is going to go to the fuse tap, which goes to the fuse box. And then you'll have a ground, which I just wired mine to the chassis. And then you have a switch output, which goes to the 86 pin on the relay. Okay, so that goes on the relay, and then on the 30 pin on the relay, they'll go into an inline fuse into the positive of the battery. So if you have a non-hybrid, you'll have the battery in the front. And if you have a hybrid like I do, I'll show you how to do that. But there's in the fuse box, there is a positive connection that you can do. And I'll show that in a video too after this. And then you have 85 that goes to the ground, which I have going to the chassis. So I actually have all of these going to the same part of the chassis on the car for grounding. And then you got 87 that goes to the light bar positive. So that's for the power for the light bar, and then the light bar negative I have going to the same thing. So I got all 3 of these going to the same ground area on my vehicle. So that's pretty much the setup. I think should be able to get a good idea just looking at this, but this is for 3 wires, but as I mentioned, we have 5 wires on my aux switch. So this came from Rave Off-Road, and these are actually the colors that they came in. So you had green that came there, which was the 12 volt
output. So green was my output. And then you had yellow and red here. So yellow was the 12-volt dash illumination. So it lights up blue, I believe the color was. So yellow is for the blue lighting. And then you have red for the 12-volt input. So that's your input for the red, which is going to the fuse tab. And then you have just the black and white over here, which is the ground. So I believe it's just the ground for the switch, and I'm not sure what the other wire was for. But either way, it just goes out, and I don't know why I didn't draw it here. But there should be another ground that just comes out, and that's this ground right here. So this should come out as a third wire. That's why I have 3 here, which they merged them. So Rave Off-Road, or I don't know if it's a standard on the aux switch, but there's a plug-in that just plugs here. So there's a 3-wire little plug that plugs into the 5 wires. So they converted both of these black and white wires into the one ground wire. And then they combined the yellow and red wire into the input wire. And then they combined, well, they didn't combine anything here, but that green wire converted to a red wire. I don't know why the wire color didn't match on the other side, but I just followed it and the output became red. So there's the output, there's that input, and I think I just made this red because it was just on the fuse tab. The fuse tab cable was red. And then there's your ground, which I should have drew a third wire. So that's pretty much it. And I think on a 3-wire, I think it would look just like this. You would just have to know what your output, input, and obviously ground is. And then your light bar, as I mentioned, is pretty simple, just straight to the 87. So I think you should get a pretty good idea after this, and I'll try to post a video showing where the hybrid ground is, since I think a lot of people might struggle with that or may not know how the fuse box is set up for the hybrid. I kind of had to figure it out on my own since I didn't see anyone else with a hybrid do this setup yet. So I'll go ahead and show that after.
All right, guys, we're gonna start trying to wire that switch. Right now, I'm not gonna go with the aftermarket board that I've seen people get from Oxbeam. Well, I think it's from Cali Rays that has the little replacement here, and then you can use an aux beam. But I'm using what came with the kit with this auxiliary button. That's pretty much like OEM. I think it has 3 wires on it. So we're gonna already fed that through the firewall. I think I shown that earlier. And then so it runs out here. Then it connects to this pigtail that came with it. And then, like I said, it has 3 wires. It has a red, green, black, and of course this side is a little different, but the black matches the ground, yellow and red. But we're gonna kind of modify this so that the switch isn't always on and just directly connected to the battery. I want it to connect to the ignition through a fuse tap, so that's what we're gonna do here. And all right, here we go again. So this cable is actually, I'm gonna wire it back in the back of the firewall, but this goes all the way through the firewall to the aux switch for the light bar. So it came with three wires. There's like 5 wires, but then they converted some of these to single wires, which at the end I'll try to explain that the best I can because it was somewhat confusing. But overall, here's that fuse tap, which goes to this yellow one, which inside it's a different color, but overall this is going to plug in there to have that ignition power. So it'll turn off when the vehicle's off and only turn on, or can turn on, when the vehicle's on. Then you got the ground for the switch, which will I'll just ground it to the vehicle somewhere. So that does not go to the relay. The relay has a separate ground that goes to, which I'm gonna have right here, screw down here. So this will need a separate grounding, just the same as your light bar. Your light bar is gonna need a separate grounding too. That's why a lot of people, probably easier to go with one of those fuse blocks, but I'm just hooking up probably two things, a light bar and probably the Raptor lights, which I'll show here in a little bit in a different video. But yeah, you'll have a lot of grounding in that. Fuse block has a bunch of grounding points, which you can just tie all this into to make it a little bit easier instead of having wires ran everywhere, different locations. So here's the red. This is the red from the aux switch. So that's going to go on to 86. So let's get this. I didn't grab my camera holder this time. So this is going to plug into 86, which is right here. All right, so we got all those plugged in. So that came from the switch, that red cable. That's going to be your switch output, and that's going to hit the relay 86. Now, left we got just the power coming from the light bar or whatever accessory you're using. So we're gonna have to, I'm gonna have to splice these wires real quick. But like I said, this ground's gonna go to a separate ground, which I'll see if it can reach over to that ground. And then this red is gonna go right on here for the power from the light bar to the relay switch. 87. All right, so we got everything plugged up now, at least to the relay. So again, you got your 30 right there. There's going to be the battery with the inline fuse, and it's going to hit that positive terminal on your battery or your positive terminal on the hybrid, since the battery's on the back of the vehicle. I'll be showing that too. Then you got 85, which is going to be your ground, 86 for your switch output, and 87 for your accessory positive. All right, for the hybrid guys. So for hybrid, I kept saying batteries in the back. So there is a way to take off this. There's a little clip here and a little clip right there. You can just kind of bend out a little bit, and then this should slide off. Just like that. That makes it a lot easier. And then I can just unscrew it here and put our inline fuse here. All right. So I was able to wire that infuse line right on top of the other positive line. And then I also fed through, so we didn't have to make any cuts on the outside, I fed through the fuse tap. So now I'm gonna find a good spot for this. So this will be our ignition for the switch. Alright guys, I had to pre-test it so I didn't look stupid, even though I'm still a newbie with this. So I found a fuse tap. It looks like the fuse box on the hybrids right here. I found all the ignition, because these were all hot, even with the ignition off. So these are empty right here. These, I think these had, yeah, you can plug into here and here, but with the type I got, it can fit right there unless I broke this off or something. But I just pushed the wire in more, got it on the sideways. So boom, it's right there. Then I'm able to, let's put this box back on. And I still haven't cleaned up everything. Let's make sure in terms of wire management. And Look at me scratching myself every time I'm trying to get inside. So no, I'm not cutting myself or not. Okay, nylon, get out the way. All right, and we got everything. Everything's grounded down here, like I mentioned. Then we got the power to everything. So here's the light bar. Well, there's the light bar. We're gonna turn the ignition on. Let's turn it on. Again, there's our button. Turn the car on instead of just ignition. But here's ignition and everything we have wired up. We're gonna turn it on. I don't know if you can tell, it's lit up. Then we go out here. And there's our light bar. Then just turn it off. And she's off. And just to show you that it's connected to the ignition, let's turn it on. Then we'll turn the car off. And last time when I tested this, it took like 10 seconds for it to react. Like you'll see it on now. Yep, that was like 5 seconds. So there you have it. Hope this helps everyone. I was looking all over to see how to get a fuse tap in there with an aux switch, and finally found something, and it was a little hard for me to find, but hopefully it helps everyone else.